You gonna talk?
Oh, I didn't know you were ready.
Go ahead.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, everybody wants you to do a recap video.
Oh, the race?
Yeah.
Where do I start, man?
Maybe about how we've been out of town for a month.
It seems like we're always dragging our nuts, man. Can't get our shit together. But, I don't know, man. We've just been having stupid fucking problems. New car blues, I guess. You know, we had an issue prior to this race. Which race did we just come from? I don't even remember which. Darlington, South Carolina. So we had an issue 2 weeks ago, and we tried to fix it. You know, the car was dropping cylinders. Was dropping what number was it? Number 3. So it dropped number 3 cylinder as soon as you let off the button. So we're kind of under horsepower. We thought we had it fixed when we left New Hampshire, and we get to Maple Grove, and we still have the same problem. But nevertheless, you know, New Hampshire, we were lucky to go 3 rounds. The FT Spark actually come unplugged, so we kind of lost that 3rd round. But just so happenly, we were running on 8 cylinders on the 3rd round for whatever reason. Maybe the FT Spark was just plugged in enough that it made connection. The first 2 rounds, it definitely ran on 7 cylinders. But anyways, so fortunately, we made it 3 rounds, and in New Hampshire, and then we roll into Maple Grove, and we're just junk. We're running on 7 cylinders again. We're running against Chuck, and he drags our ass and fucks us up, and again we're on 7 cylinders. So we go back to modern racing again, which was there a week before. They found out the FT Spark was what come unplugged, and they heat shrinked it so it wouldn't happen again. But anyway, so we go back to modern racing. We go through everything on the car. We put it on a dyno. We put a new FT Spark box in it. We put new coils on it again, checked the injectors, just kind of went through everything. The last thing we got to was the ECU, and the ECU was bad. Put a new ECU in it, bam, it's running on 8 cylinders. We had a little bit of a fuck up on the dyno. The way they dyno those cars are, they have to unhook the tranny brake, but our lockup is in that pin set up with the tranny brake. So when the car was on 8 cylinders, of course we made 3 pulls before that, it didn't hurt it, but the bitch wasn't making no power. We were kind of making about the same power Chuck Sightseeker banks, like 2,300 horsepower or something, I don't know. But anyways, so that's why we didn't gain on him. So we actually heard a blower on the car. So we changed the blower, and then dynoed the next day, and we got all power back on. So we knew rolling into Darlington, as long as we could get a hold of the track, we was going to be pretty good. We was making good power. So, you know, we made our 2 grudge races, and, you know, prenup was on point. It was fast. We had a hot rod. I can't remember who you raced the first round.
Megatron.
Who?
Megatron.
So we raced Megatron, Stan Allen and them. Good race. I think we kind of drug them, but still good race. And then the 2nd round we ran Jeff Lutz. Good guys, but
No, Jerry Bird.
Huh?
2nd round was Jerry Bird.
Yeah, we ran Jerry Bird. Now that was a good race, and we was on all 8 holes. We was firing. So, you know, the Bird brothers are fast, man. I'm telling you, they ran us good. I mean, I think that race was like a half a fender from what I heard. But anyways, then we ran Jeff Lutz in the 3rd round. Good race, but we drug his ass too. 4th race, we come up to run Kai, and we was fixing to crack Kai's ass. But and we had a fast car though. Honestly, I felt like that car was going to go to the finals. No matter who it raced, it was going to the finals. It was already fixing to check out on Kai, but when the front end sat down, you know, the car was drifting left. So, you know, if you look at the video, Justin had the wheel to the right, which is natural instincts because the car was drifting left. And when it's drifting left because it's actually spinning, I was getting after it. So it's actually spinning a little bit less of a tune-up car where it just drove straight. But, you know, running Kai, we knew Kai was going to make a good lick. We knew he had been running good. So, you know, we weren't going to leave nothing on the table. If somebody's going to beat us, they're going to have to beat us. We're not going to come up there and run somebody lightly and just get outrun. They're going to have to outrun us. So, and that's exactly what our plan was. So, you know, when the car sat down, of course the wheel jerked, but on top of that, something was going on with the whole steering system. You know, Justin basically couldn't steer the car. Even if you put 2 wheels on, you couldn't turn it. couldn't do nothing. You know, Justin actually, when the front end sat down, he was trying to steer it. The car wouldn't steer. You know, we had a problem with the rack on the car, which I believe, you know, he took it over to Cameron Johnson's Race Cars Monday morning. They got that thing fixed. So, but we had a lot of trial and tribulations at Darlington, South Carolina. So, you know, we heard a blower on the dyno. So we put another blower on it. It was a blower that, you know, was all fresh and serviced back from Pro Charger. We made one dyno pull and we made one 330 hit in the car, and basically the next round, this was on our grudge night, the next pass we went to make, Justin was in the burnout, and as soon as it got up on top of the tire, the car just kind of petered out and lost power. Well, it broke the shaft on the blower. So we have been going through a little bit of problems, you know, no fault of our own. I don't know, probably not no fault of Pro Charger here, just a racing deal. But so we actually lost the blower Friday night. So the guys, you know, we get back to the pits, we're trying to figure out why it ain't got no power, and we check everything out. We're not finding nothing wrong. Of course, we've been going through all these ECU problems, injector problems, coil problems, just everything. We didn't know why. I looked through all the data and I could, you know, everything looked fine. Couldn't see why the car lost power. But Art happened, and we had fired the car up, and Art looked inside the blower and he's like, hey man, the blower's not spinning. So right then and there we knew we had a blower problem. Well, it actually broke the shaft on the back of the blower that hooks to the quick drive. So change blower out. We go to the first round of eliminations with Stan. We made a run. The motor looked a little funny through the run. Everything was fine, running on 8 cylinders, but it did look a little funny when Justin was servicing and Justin and Art was servicing the motor. They noticed we had a valve spring broke on the passenger side of the motor. Then they noticed we had a valve spring broke on the driver's side of the motor. So now we were a little bit complacent doing our normal thing in the pits and not getting in a real hurry, but now we got 20 minutes to go and we found out we got broke valve springs. This motor's a little bit different than the motors that we're used to working on. We're used to working on the big Pat Musey motors, and we actually have all the tools to change springs in between rounds on them, and they're actually a little bit easier. The Hemi head setup, it has a nice setup, but it's not as fast. It's not as fast to check the spring pressure. It's not as fast to change in the spring. So we had to jump in and hurry up and get the springs. Well, we had to get one changed, and then when we went over to the other side of the motor, checked out, we had 2. So we had to get 2 springs changed out on the motor to make that first round, or after that first round to make the second round. We make a second round, we come back, and lo and behold, it breaks another spring. We change another spring, we go to third round, we break another spring again. So we basically just breaking springs every round. So now, having said that, we're putting all new springs on the motor before this race comes up in Cordova, Illinois. So we should have all new springs. We have about 40 runs to 45 runs on the gear. We are going to go ahead and pull the gear out, put a new gear in the car. I did go to House of Hook, make a couple test hits, which they weren't worth a shit prior to Darlington, because, you know, nothing against House of Hook, but the track was just so glued down and so radio prepped. The track was so tight that I was honestly afraid to break the gear out there. For me to be able to hit it hard enough to get the car up on top of the tire to turn the tire, I was definitely concerned about breaking the rear gear. But either way, I think we're just going to change the gear out now for preventative maintenance, because like I said, it's got about 40-45 runs on it. The springs have about 40-45 runs. They say to change them from 50 to 75. We're just going to go ahead and put new springs on the motor as well. Just kind of go through everything, check everything out. We think everything's working. Although we lost on that last run against Kai, the front end broke, or the steering broke on the car, I did learn something on that run. I have been fighting something a little bit on that car, on the tune-up, trying to make that converter a little bit happier in there. And when I ran Kai, I learned how to run it. So I know for a fact, as long as we fire on all 8 cylinders and we can get a hold of the track and get the setup right, I think we're going to be fast in Cordova. I know for a fact there's only a couple runs that thing has ran to where I needed to run to everything to be happy, and I couldn't figure out why it would be happy sometimes and not happy the other. And it really was lugging the motor down and grunting it. But I figured out how to run it now. I finally got all my dump valves working on the converter. I've got everything working happy, and I didn't really truly figure it out. Don't get me wrong, I've made some good runs and everything worked right, but I'm still learning through the Fuel Tech ECU. I'm still learning the quick drive setup. I'm still learning how to make the chance converter happy with the quick drive. So between all that, the tune-up on the motor, you know, I'm still learning that combo every time we make a pass. Don't get me wrong, we've been fast and we've made some good licks, but we're not 100% there yet with tickling that thing and making prenup the best it can be. It's getting better and better every round. I think we have, I don't know, what is there, how many races are left, 6 or 7?
Yeah, 7.
So I think on our end, the best is yet to come. I think that we haven't actually showed our full hand yet. So I'm hopeful that, you know, like I said, you got to have a lot of luck to win anyway, but I'm hopeful that we can keep all the nuts and bolts on this thing. And if we do, and we got all 8 holes, and Justin's been doing a very, very good job of driving. He's cutting really good lights. He's keeping it in the groove, although it's moving down through there. But I hate to say it, but man, I think we have a hot rod and I think we have a fast car. I am more confident in that car after that race with Kai Kelly than I've ever been. And I know that when I go to Cordova, I'm going to be on point. Having said that, I think that as far as me with the tune-ups, I think they're going to be on point. A lot better than they are. I've already done my tune-ups at home. Usually I do them away from the race. I go back and I dissect the runs. I look at the data. So I'll normally, after a race is when I kind of refine my tune-ups. While I'm there, I'll try to make the car better to whatever the track's going to give us, but then I also take all that information and I go back and look at everything just to make sure I haven't missed anything or do anything that can help the car to pick up some speed. So like I said, after learning what I learned against Kai Kelly, I do believe there's some more speed in that car, and I believe we're going to show it in Cordova as long as we can get a hold of the racetrack. Justin's doing his job. We're going to be light some crew help there for this next race. Got guys that have other stuff they got to do, so we'll be a little bit short-handed, but that's okay though. I mean, me and Justin, we went and raced that car with just me and him ourselves. It's a little bit tough on us, but we've definitely raced it with a 2-man job, so we'll do that again, whatever it takes to get it done. Hopefully Cordova will have a good outing. As long as we can just keep going rounds, and we'll go as far as we can. The competition is very tough in the MPK right now. I mean, you got a lot. There's probably 10 cars that are just really totally can run up front and win a race at any given time. So you know, I do believe we're one of them. Normally I don't put us in that category. I always feel like we're behind and chasing, but I believe we're a front runner right now. And I believe we can run up front, and I wholeheartedly believe that we haven't really showed our hand yet. And so I think we're halfway through the season now, and we're learning more about the car. Justin has definitely come a long ways and is driving better and better and making good decisions. So for me, when I come to the line with that car, I'm going to start dropping the hammer on it. So we'll see what happens this weekend in Cordova with a little bit of luck. Maybe we can sneak away with a win, or at least we can gain some points on the guys that are in front of us. I think we dropped back to 6th spot. Like I said, 2 races that we fell out with it running on 7 cylinders, and now the one against Kai with the rack. I mean, you know, we went to the 3rd round on one, we went to the 4th round on the other. I believe we had a car to go to the finals, and I believe we had a car that could win. I believe those are 2 races that we let slip away from us, and it's really hard to win these races as it is. So you have to capitalize on everything in every race that you're doing, and obviously we didn't capitalize on that. Parts failures are parts failures. If they happen to you, they happen to you. You just got to take it with a grain of salt, and you got to keep on moving forward. So hopefully the fans come out and see us and come watch the race. I believe we're going to have a good race, and I believe everybody else will have a good race too. But I believe this race is going to be very competitive. We're midway through the season. Everybody's getting faster and faster. The competition is getting closer and closer. The cars are getting tighter and tighter. So from the driver to the crew to the tuner, everybody's got to do their job. If you want to be successful in this series, everybody's got to click on all 8 cylinders. All right, so that's my weekly recap on the race. Tune in this weekend to see how we do at Cordova. Come see us. Hopefully we do good. I have good predictions on this race here. I think we are going to run good. Like I said, if we can keep all the parts on it. So come see us, and then we'll see you next week on a recap after next week. After this race here, we'll do another recap and just kind of tell you where we're at, where we're going, and how we did. Going over to Justin Swanstrom 69 website. pick up your merch, and also hit that subscribe button and follow the YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next one.
Hell yeah.